This was my identity.
Nobody talks about how freaking hard it is to be a dentist. What most people talk about is how this affects the patient. What nobody talks about is how this affects us. Dentistry is ready for this. Now is really the time.
So, folks, how are those New Year's resolutions going for you? It's the end of February. You doing okay? Are they slipping through the cracks? Are you feeling frustrated? Well, welcome to Wellness and Dentistry, where we talk about all things practice wellness, personal wellness, and everything in between. My name is Dr. Martin Mendelson. I'm a disabled dentist, coach, speaker, and author. My first book, One Move Makes All the Difference, is available wherever books are sold. And I'm joined by my co-host and dear friend, Dr. Kyle Stanley, who is a dentist, tech entrepreneur, speaker, and researcher. And together, we've helped thousands of dental professionals pursue wellness and dentistry. And if you're unfamiliar with us, we invite you to check out our respective links, websites, and course offerings, as well as our upcoming in-person course, Lightside Live, on April 10th and 11th on our combined website, wellnessanddentistry.com. So, Kyle, how's your year going so far?
Yeah, 2026 is great. But it's hard. You have all these big plans for the year that is easy to talk about in between, the holidays and New Year. You're like, I'm gonna be this new
Yeah.
person. And then you fall back into normal routine.
Yep.
So
Yep.
for me, it really has to become, I have to turn into the type of person that does what I want to do. And that's how I think
Mhm.
about it is like, if you want to start going to the gym, you have to turn into the type of person that goes to the gym. There's like a personality type that happens. If you want to be a person that meditates, you have to turn into the type of person that meditates. And I know that sounds like minutia, but there's something to be said about having something, I don't know, having something become part of you.
So, I don't know if you realize this, but you know what you literally just described? You literally just described James Clear's identity-based habits versus outcome-based habits. And that's actually based on research, believe it or not, relative to those people that can create intrinsic motivation, as they discuss, are the ones that are able to continue a habit forward because it's not about um, going to the gym to become buff. It's about going to the gym because I am a kind of person that values my health,
Yeah,
outcome versus identity. So isn't
right.
that interesting?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's probably what I was trying to say. I like that outcome
Yeah, isn't that
versus
fun?
identity. Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
and you know it's that intrinsic motivation piece because we've all been there where it's at the end of a day and let's say you've gotten home and let's say you find the couch and the last thing you want to do is get up and do some work on the practice or go to the gym or cook dinner even versus ordering DoorDash or something. It can be very, very difficult. So then the question becomes, where do you find that spark to motivate you to move forward? That becomes the question.
Yeah, it's like the carrot at the end that's making you want to do that task,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I often kind of think about it relative to metaphorically is like family traditions
Mm.
where we've always done it this way. It means a lot to me to do it this way, therefore we're going to do it that way. And you could argue that's a little bit of an outcome if it's a specific thing, but I don't view it that way. It's more like this is who we are as a family, as people in the family. And therefore, that's why it's important to have our holiday meal have this, this, and this dish in it, kind of thing. Um, it's an important distinction. There's a
I was looking for something as you were talking that I wanted to talk about, and it says it takes 21 days to start a habit, 12 weeks to find a groove, 6 months to lock it down, 1 year to crave it, 2+ years to make it part of your identity. When
Mhm.
you set a habit, these are your milestones. And I can't remember who said that, but it's
Yeah, It's an interesting thing because Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar talks about the difference between a habit and a ritual. And
Hmm.
so a habit is something you push yourself toward, a ritual is something that pulls you toward it. And so that's basically what those time frames we're talking about, where, once you kind of hit the year, then you're starting to get into ritualistic territory versus habitual territory. And I can tell you in my own life, that's absolutely true. I mean, I can peg even certain fits and starts with physical fitness. Like, did it okay for 6 months, and then for some reason I went on vacation or I didn't do it for a week, and then all of a sudden, it's 3 months later, I'm like, wait a minute, why haven't I worked out again? And yet there's other things like writing my spouse a note every morning. I've done this now for 6 years. I couldn't imagine getting up when I'm home during the week
Hmm.
and not writing him a note. It's like getting up and not brushing my teeth. I wouldn't even
Right.
consider doing it, right?
Hmm.
So, for those listening, the way this all started was I said, well, this is coming out the end of February. There's some really interesting, there's an interesting publication that Forbes had a number of years ago that claims that 80% of people fail in moving forward in their New Year's resolutions, and they do so by February. And so, because this is coming out in February, I said to Kyle, "Hey, do you want to talk about this? Because this is the time where most people who have made a New Year's resolution are either about to give up or have just given up." And so that's why
Hmm.
we're actually even talking about this today.
What's been interesting with me is my fitness journey,
Hmm.
um, which got serious about 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
I've always been an athlete. I've always exercised, but like taking it seriously, eating healthy, going to the gym regularly, doing jujitsu, that kind of stuff. More for outcome based instead of, oh wait, what did you
Yeah.
say? That we said, yeah,
Yeah.
outcome based
Outcome
instead of
versus
like
identity. Hmm.
identity. Yeah. What's been interesting to me is the external push that I get from my family
Yeah.
because they know that I go. So many times I go to the gym after I put my son down for to bed. So I go usually in the evenings. And when I'm putting my son down for bed, he goes, "Are you going to the gym tonight?"
Yeah.
After I lay with him till he falls asleep. So when I get out of his room and I walk into mine and my wife's room, she usually says, "Are you going to the gym tonight?"
Hmm.
And sometimes I don't want to go,
Yeah.
but I'm like, well, I want my wife to think that I'm like a guy that goes to the gym. So like I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. And I'm so glad that because she's not like, oh, you better go to the gym, right? She's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
you going to the
Yeah.
gym tonight? Or, are we watching a movie or what do you want to do? And there's a nice little push that happens externally for me.
Yeah.
Like with my son, I want him to know that his dad exercises
And
and
that's
that it's
that's an
important.
identity thing. So it's almost like an external to paraphrase, it's an external push to support the internal identity statement and feeling,
That's right. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why do you think most people fail with these? And these
Um,
can be just so you know, guys, we're not just talking about exercise goals or something like this. Like
yeah.
this could be your practice goal, a clinical
Yeah.
goal, a hiring, firing goal. I mean, it could
Hmm.
be any of
Hmm.
this. But
That's
why do you think these people fail?
that's a loaded question. And it to some degree it depends differently on what it is you're talking about. From my personal perspective, um, and some research knowledge perspective, but not in total. It's everything follows the path of least resistance. And so if it feels like there's less resistance to sit on the couch and watch Wheel of Fortune, that's what you're going to do. If it feels like less resistance because if you don't go to the gym, you're going to feel really shitty about it, then you go to the gym. So I think that has something to do with it. I will also say that from a research perspective, making things as easy as possible is incredibly important. So when I said from a research perspective, what I mean by this is they've actually conducted research relative to if you can even delay the ability to start something that becomes a habitual action by even 20 seconds, sorry, the other way around, reduce it by even 20 seconds, you're much more likely to do that thing, whatever it may be. So I'll give you a different example. Eating healthy. A lot of people meal prep. So you're taking the time to meal prep on a Sunday so that on a Wednesday, when you're exhausted, there's something in the fridge that you can pull out and put it in the microwave and you're done.
Hmm.
That's kind of, in essence, what I'm talking about here. So it's part of it is you have to ask yourself the question, okay, what is it that I'm trying to do? Why does this feel so hard? How would I actually feel if I actually did do that thing? And what's more important to me? The feeling I get by accomplishing it or being able to accept the feeling of disappointment that you didn't do it? Like,
I like what you were talking about with making something as easy as possible to
yeah,
do. I
yeah.
was talking about this with my neighbor. He and I both train jujitsu, and our kids
Hmm.
both train jujitsu at the same place.
Hmm.
And there is jujitsu in our neighborhood. It's literally 5 minutes from us,
Oh,
literally
nice.
5 minutes away. And neither he or I train there, but our kids train there. And one of the things, when he first moved here, he said, well, how good is the coach and this and that. And I said, yeah, the coach is great. And he was kind of like, it kind of doesn't matter that much. Half of jujitsu and doing it consistently is the logistics, making
Mm,
it easy. If our kids were going to the best jujitsu place in Southern California, but it was 40 minutes away, how easy is
yeah,
it to say, maybe we won't go
exactly.
tonight, or it's going to be a long drive and the kids are going to get annoying in the drive. And it's been really great. Once we move my son there, it is a great school, but just the fact that it's close
Yeah.
makes it so much easier to check off the box and take him, twice a week or something.
Oh, 100%. I mean, look, when I work with practices, I use the four laws of behavior change as presented by James Clear relative to understanding how you change behavior within a dental practice. Because the thing people forget is that everything you do, you're already doing. And what do I mean by that? James Clear talks about this concept of habit stacking, where you're adding an activity to something that already exists. So when I was with Spear, that's when I first came to this stuff. Actually, thanks to my friend Brandy Cart, who's a good friend of mine who used to actually work for me at Spear, and she gifted me Atomic Habits almost 10 years ago. And I brought some of these concepts to Spear because it really spoke to me relative to wait a minute, if we're trying to use, just as an example, their patient education videos to increase case acceptance, we're already examining patients. We're already talking to them. We're already treatment planning. We're not adding something separate and distinct. We're stacking a behavior into something we're already doing. So within those four laws of behavior change, which is why I'm bringing this up, comes in, are we making it easy? Because in this one specific example, if you're going to show a patient a video on an iPad, if you have to go hunt for the iPad, how many times do you think you're going to hunt for the iPad before you give up? If you have to hunt for their website, they then created an app. If you have to figure out what video to do, you can have playlists. You see the idea? So
So true.
that's when I work with dental practices on behavior change, I always go to James Clear because humanistic behaviors are humanistic behaviors. I don't care that they're in a dental practice because the people doing them are the human beings. And so when you understand the behavior elements, you can facilitate change for anything or anywhere at any time. So,
Really interesting behavioral change, or as they call it in the dental world, which is change management.
yeah.
I learned this in the tech world as we were deploying my company Pearl and our
Hmm.
AI software into thousands of practices. And we would literally have practices where we would come in and say, we found $1 million worth of
Hmm.
treatment on
Yeah.
your patients in your
Yeah.
charts. And they would say, yeah, but it's two more clicks.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
what? It's two more clicks?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't. explore $1 million for two more
So
clicks. And they were like, we have so many open windows. This was at the time when we weren't fully integrated. It
yeah, yeah.
was still a separate window at the time. Um, but it was like, oh, wow, that really shows the value that people have in their habits and that they're
Well,
not willing to change
yeah.
even the smallest thing where you have to go to another window to get so much value.
So we didn't plan this, but thank you for falling right into my trap again. So that's one of the key that's, this is why we work so well together. So that's one of the key elements of not only clear, but also Duhigg's concepts from the power of habit relative to the reward. We have to understand why the hell we're doing something and have it be meaningful enough to then, therefore, and I quote, crave that so that, for example, if we're talking about utilizing Pearl after radiographs are exposed and uploaded, the cue is utilizing Pearl. The craving is helping it give you that second opinion so that you can increase case acceptance. The
Right.
routine is the 2 clicks, and the
Yeah.
reward is getting what you're craving. So, I know from a behavioral perspective, as you said, these were in the early days of Pearl, and now it's,
Mhm.
certainly proven itself quite
Yeah.
nicely. And so then the question becomes, okay, so now I want to do those 2 clicks because I
Hmm.
want the thing that's at the
Yes.
other end of the clicks. And
Yeah.
and again, that's what people miss in dental practices. Because look, like it or not, if you're a dentist or a hygienist, you're not necessarily going to sorry, you won't look at it the same way as an assistant or a front office personnel, but that's not a bad thing. It just is. So, how
Hmm.
do we connect the dots? How do we create the reward, i.e., the craving, i.e., the understanding of the end result? That's what facilitates the change, which guess what? All goes back to what? Identity-based habits. I
Hmm.
want that thing because I want to be a great assistant. I want to be a comprehensive admin person for this practice, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking of other things that so many dentists talk to us about, whether it's in, the Lightside Club, my twice monthly mastermind, or in Lightside Live, or just when you and I are coaching
Yeah.
people, is that you have a lot of dentists that will come and say, for example, my complication compliance method course, people will say, I don't want my patients to blame me every time there's a complication. It's like, okay, well, then you have to talk about complications to every single
Mhm.
patient. They're like,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to do that. It's like,
Mhm.
well, if you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's like the same thing happens where I hear this all the time. People say, their insurance doesn't pay anything, and everybody's so insurance based, and the insurance is denying all of my claims. And it's like,
Mhm.
that you opt in to insurance.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
can get out of it. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
no one wants to come to fee for service practices. And like some of those things are just a mindset. And you hear people that do it and they go, gosh, I wish I did this 10 years ago.
Hmm.
This completely changed my life.
Hmm.
You have to put in the effort of anything to get the result. Very few times in life, and especially in dentistry, does doing nothing create these great results.
Yeah.
It's hard. We're not saying it's easy.
No.
It's hard. You put in the work, but then things turn into systems, they turn into policies.
Yeah.
Like at my practice, I was talking to someone about this just yesterday. At my practice, I think I was actually talking to my partner, Matt. You can't get an appointment unless you have a card on file and you
Hmm.
pay in full for that appointment.
Hmm.
And people think that's crazy. And
Hmm.
we used to think it was crazy too. And then we started doing it. And it's so normal for our team now.
Yeah.
It's so normal for us now. It's so normal for our patients now. We've
Yeah.
reconditioned people to know, oh, if I'm going to take this appointment, then I prepay for it to hold my spot.
You know what I'm thinking of, which I've never thought of in this context before. So, my concept of success amnesia, where, we just downplay all the many steps that got us to the big wins.
Hmm.
This is the same damn thing. I mean, think about it. You're like, I don't want to do an extra 2 clicks. Do you realize in anything we do in a dental practice, how many damn individual steps there are to do anything?
Yeah.
And yet we've figured it out over time. So why is this such a big deal? I haven't thought about this in years, but for some reason, and I actually don't remember the reason, but I remember what I did. When I was in practice, I'm dating myself now. Um, I was just curious to see how much thought went into a single surface amalgam restoration.
Mm.
And I stopped after 3 pages
Wow.
because it was just nuts. Because if you really sit down and think about all the things you need to think about, the instruments you need to use, the blah, 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 I don't care what it is you're doing. It is mind blowing the number of steps we need to do. But we forget that and we
Yeah.
poo-poo it, we downplay it. And I am convinced that it is in large part because we're not embracing the reward that leads to the craving enough
Hmm.
because we're bringing stuff in without necessarily being really clear on what the outcome is.
Hmm.
Um, so we had this experience the other day. Do you remember the meeting we were in? And somebody said, "Okay, what's our main goal here?" And the group ended up on the main goal, and then all of a sudden everything else was clear. Remember that?
Yeah. Hmm.
So without the clarity of why it is you're doing what you're doing, how the hell are you going to figure out how to get there?
Yeah.
Right?
So let's bring this into land, Martin. What are your final thoughts on, especially for our listeners that are like, I really want to finish this year and have it be my best year ever and have the goals that I set actually happen,
Yeah.
even if they've already lost their momentum now.
Yeah. I think one thing I'd say is read Atomic Habits, truthfully and honestly. I mean, that book can give you such a framework around how to do this once you get into the deployment stage. But I think my advice would be, okay, regardless of where you are at this point in February 2026, whether you're killing it or you're frustrated as hell, sit down and think about, okay, what is it that I want to do? By when do I want to do this? Why do I want to do this? Is it realistic to do this? And then go into the realities of how to get it done, but without taking a step back and engaging with the identity piece. For my money, it just becomes lip service because we're going to end
Hmm.
up failing, and the data is pretty clear. We will. So if we don't figure out why we really want to do it and how that impacts us and the way we identify ourselves, then we're going to keep struggling over and over again.
Yeah. And listen, guys, for those of you that don't have disability insurance, or if you need to rethink about your disability insurance, we're going to put a link in the show notes. I don't know if you guys know, but Martin is what do you call a registered agent, or what is your
I'm a licensed agent.
a
Yeah.
licensed agent for disability insurance? And who better to help you with your disability insurance than a disabled dentist
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
actually went through it and actually knows what it's like?
Yeah.
Also, too, if you guys want to hang out with us, spend more time with us, in April, we're going to be in Dallas for our Lightside Live program. We only do this event once or twice a year, and this one is a special one with MB2. So all MB2 doctors are invited, and anyone can come if you're a Carabelli Club member. So Carabelli Club is the buying group that my practice is a part of, and we're going to save about $20,000 this year across all of our discounts. So click on those links, and you can also click on our link for Lightside Live, which is in the show notes. We hope to meet you in person, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Wellness and Dentistry.
Take care.